Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Hey, howdy, hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everybody? I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, and especially, I hope you all had a nice Mother's Day weekend as well. I don't know if there are any moms who are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast for the matter, but if you are, then I hope you had a very wonderful weekend, especially with your very important role of being a mother. But anyways, on to this episode right over here, or what I have in store for you all. Well, you probably do recall how in the last episode it was a little bit intense, especially when highlighting a lot of the stupidity that has occurred, and you might have seen me blown out some steam a little bit, or even if you just heard from my voice that, yeah, it got a little bit intense. Well, the good news is that with this episode in particular, things will be a little bit more calmer. Things will be a lot more cooler, and I'll even say that some of the stories I have involved will be a lot more positive. But that doesn't change that this will be a very fascinating episode with a lot to go and discuss, especially when there have been some big news in the world of entertainment that has come out. And by the way, before I go and officially do begin this, there is something that I want to go and highlight. Because as you guys have probably heard, this is actually related to how right now public media is currently in danger, especially with one of Donald Trump's executive orders is to go and completely defund public media, which, like many of Trump's executive orders, it's not necessarily legal to do so, and that he and all his billionaire allies, they think that they can be like above the law and just do whatever they want, and everyone else should just blindly obey and just go with it. But in this case here, with public media, however, with his attempt to try to go and defund it, it is a very dangerous move, especially with how it is an essential part of not just media, but especially of the US in general, where it plays a vital role in our children's education. So with that said, that's why I want to go and take a highlight on this website in particular here, which you may have heard before, which is called Protect My Public Media, or the website specifically is protectmypublicmedia.org, in which they even stated here, public media is facing multiple serious threats. The administration has proposed eliminating federal funding in its annual budget request, issued an executive order to block support for PBS and NPR, canceling grants that support the creation of children's educational programming, and plans to claw back funding approved by Congress. Act now, tell Congress to reject the rescission package and stop the dismantling of public media. So basically, this is all to go and highlight that both PBS and NPR are in absolute danger. And this is especially the case with PBS, pretty much saying how many of their beloved shows, such as Sesame Street, are currently in danger. Now, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe this is only for Americans to go and actually highlight or actually take action on this, where you would have to go and pretty much tell Congress, including like you have to put in like your zip code and your state of where you are from, to go and say that you don't want public media to be defunded. But even though that might be the case, that might be not, but this is just to go and mention how this is an important thing to go and highlight. This is an important thing to go and spread the word about. Even if you're not from the US, it's important to go and actually share this with people, especially to your American friends or family members, to go and message that stuff like NPR and PBS are vital to go and save, because public media is not just important for media in general, but this is also for our children in the future. This is for their sake. This is for their education. This is more for them so that they could greatly benefit in the long run, that even if they are from low income places, that they could still have something like PBS in order to have some proper education. So again, this is just a highlight, protectmypublicmedia.org, so that you could go and actually send a message to Congress to say that public media is not just a vital piece of media in general, but also a vital piece of America. All right, so with that said, now that I have sent out my message on that, it is now time that I go and talk to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? Let me see. All right, our people are prepared. I see yes, yes. Okay, that is great to see. All right, bring it on. Yes, yes, yes. All right, so I think I can see that you guys are all set on that. And I believe it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story that I have for you today, we're going to be talking about DreamWorks Animation. Because as you know, DreamWorks actually has, well, technically 3 or 4 movies prepared for us this year. Now, we have already gotten Dogman earlier back in January, and then coming soon, I don't know if this would technically count, but we do have the How to Train Your Dragon live action remake that's going to be coming out next month, as well as later in the summer, we are getting the highly anticipated Bad Guys 2 that shall be released. But then there is one more movie that they have planned. One more feature that is based on one of their biggest shows that they have on Netflix, and now it has gotten so big that they are going to be bringing it onto the big screen. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for the upcoming DreamWorks Animation movie, Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie.
We're taking a trip to spend the week with my grandma.
Buckle up, Gabby Cats. It's time to go.
Here we go.
And that is Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, to which the film shall be coming out in theaters on September 26th. Now, to give you a little bit more context about Gabby's Dollhouse, DreamWorks Animation has actually done a bunch of preschool shows as of late, but it's probably a bit debatable, but Gabby's Dollhouse is probably their biggest preschool show of them all, especially when it is actually from the creator, or at least one of the creators, of Blue's Clues. And you probably have seen in the trailer where there are some similarities between the two. First off, there is the blend of live action and animation, where you do have a bunch of animated characters that are on the side that are helping out the protagonist, while the main character is primarily in live action, but there are times when Gabby would go into the dollhouse and she becomes fully animated as well. And not to mention that there is the aspect of interaction, where there are times when Gabby would look at the camera and would tell the audience, like, what to do, or that she would go and ask them to go and help them out on their little adventures. So there are those aspects where you could see the parallels between Blue's Clues and Gabby's Dollhouse from there. So at least it gives you a little bit of an idea of what kind of show Gabby's Dollhouse is. And when it comes to the movie itself, I think it is very much straightforward in terms of what it wants to be. I think it is very clear that it is pretty much trying to be the same thing as the TV show, where it is like the TV show, it's aimed for preschoolers. And in this case here, the movie is also aimed for preschoolers. In fact, you do got a little bit of a clue before, like right on top over here, where you have this piece of interactivity. So just to quickly play it again.
Time to go.
Here we go. Do you want to come to Cat Francisco with us?
Which, by the way, speaking of Cat Francisco, that's also another aspect that pretty much says a lot in terms of how this is made for younger kids, or specifically the type of audience that would want to also go and see the Paw Patrol movies. It's the humor. Like, it unapologetically goes into the realm of that low-hanging fruit or that juvenile type of humor, because we have heard like a bunch of times in this trailer that they would go and do these cat puns where they would go to Cat Francisco, or how the villain is all like, she's literally this rich, crazy cat lady, and that she would also offer her batch of like cat puns as well. And not to mention, there's also like more than one occasion where they would have jokes about butts. And honestly, the way that they would go and handle it, it's a little bit weird. Like, probably the one that stands out for me, it would be like, it's like much later on. Yeah, like this part over here.
Oops, looks like Cakey got fakey.
Yeah, Cakey got bakey. And it's because the butt caught a little bit on fire, and it's like the Cakey's got a bit of toasted buns. All right. I guess. Okay. I guess that's a joke that we're doing in preschool shows now. But yeah, I will say that, yeah, it's pretty clear that, yeah, the humor, it's for kids for sure. But one thing I will say, though, and I think it is evidently clear in the trailer, is that, yeah, the jokes are not great. The tone of it feels very juvenile, and even the villain is not necessarily strong. Like, like honestly, it feels like the cat version of those two villains from Trolls band together, kind of like trying to bring them back, but in a sense that they would try to be like, like instead of being all about being like pop stars, this one wants to be all about like cats and having like a major cat collection and stuff like that. However, even though it has all these flaws, it is very self-aware of what it wants to be. Like, it knows very well that this is a movie that is based on a preschool show, and it's not going to try to do anything different now that it's going to be a movie. It's not necessarily going to go for the same kind of audience as like The Bad Guys 2 or the How to Train Your Dragon remake, for example. Like, it knows that its audience is primarily preschoolers, and that's who they want to go and try to attract with this movie. That they're not going to go and try to do anything more. You know, it's not like that Dora the Explorer movie where it wants to aim for an older audience and it would be a bit more satirical in terms of the regular tropes that we are familiar with Dora and the Dora the Explorer series. No. It's not trying to be satirical. It's not trying to be anything more. It just wants to be this preschool movie that is based on a popular preschool show. It's like I said before, this movie is trying to aim for the same kind of audience as the Paw Patrol movie. So it's basically for anybody who is like under 6 or something like that. It's more for them in particular. And that is why I'm just going to go and say this right now, that honestly, prior to watching this trailer, I thought that this might be something that I would have to go and review. I even mentioned it in my top 5 best and worst animated films of 2024, like right at the end, when I would do the preview of like what would be to come in 2025. I thought Gabby's Dollhouse would go and be one of them, because admittedly, I wasn't that familiar with the feature itself. And because it is a DreamWorks Animation movie, I thought like, okay, guess I'll also include that on the list. But now that I am a little bit more familiar from doing some research about what the show is and seeing this trailer in particular, I think I'm going to pass on this one. I don't think I have to go and review it because it's not necessarily an animated film. It's an animation live action hybrid, especially when the main character doesn't always appear as animated. Maybe for like a good chunk of it, she will. But for the most part, it looks like there will be sometimes or a lot of times in which Gabby is a live action person or is portrayed by a live actress. So honestly, in that regards, I feel like it is a little bit of a relief. I don't have to go and check this movie. I won't have to be stuck in an awkward position of like, oh, well, guess I'm going to go to the movie theater alone and I'm going to go and watch Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. Nothing suspicious about that. So, yeah, this is pretty much to go and say that I'm not going to review Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. It's not going to be in my wheel to go and consider that as like a legitimate animated feature for me to go and actually make a review or criticize it whatsoever. So, but even without that, I think it is safe to say that, yeah, this is not for me. This is something that I would say that I think I am too old to go and watch. And I think it does say something that this is not the kind that I should go and actually review. Well, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's that bad. It's just not necessarily a fully animated feature. So honestly, for me, it's not my thing. It's not the kind of movie I would review. It's not the kind of movie I would just go and watch. It's like, honestly, maybe for Gabby's Dollhouse fans, it's going to be for them. So I'll leave it to them to go and watch it and talk about it and determine if it's good for them or not. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what did you think of the Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie trailer? Did you guys actually enjoy it? Did you guys don't feel that interested in checking it out? Or especially, this might be a long shot, but if you are a fan of Gabby's Dollhouse, or if you're familiar with Gabby's Dollhouse, I would like to know what you think. In fact, let's actually make things a little bit interesting. I want to see if I could go and actually do a poll here on Twitch. So let me just go and ask you all, will you be watching Gabby's Dollhouse? So I'm just going to go and write down yes. I'll go and write down no. Can I add in, hold on. Okay, yeah. Okay, I got enough space to go and write down Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie. Perfect. Okay, so let's go and create this poll and let's see what the chat has to say. All right, folks. I mean, it looks harmless. I think that is definitely meant for kids who are fans of the show and not for us adults. It's kind of like Paw Patrol the movie in a way. I know animation isn't always made exclusively for kids, but sometimes kids deserve some dumb fun too. Exactly. Like this is one of those movies that's like, it is purely made for kids. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. And I mean, who knows? Even if it would be exclusively for kids, maybe the movie itself could actually be pretty solid. It could be good. I mean, that I feel like that is the case with the first Paw Patrol movie. Like, I was honestly impressed and surprised that I find myself actually enjoying that first movie. I was just there like, wow, this is actually not bad. I'm actually kind of getting involved with Chase's adventure there. Like that, this is actually interesting. So maybe that could be the case with Gabby's Dollhouse as well. But I mean, if not, at least the kids are going to like it. Let's see now. I'm more surprised that this is DreamWorks Animation's first true live-action animation hybrid. Again, I do not count that How to Train Your Dragon remake as a real DreamWorks Animation movie. It's just DreamWorks in name only. It's purely a Universal product. This Gabby's Dollhouse movie, on the other hand, is DreamWorks Animation's true equivalent to Sony Pictures Animation's Smurfs movie and Illumination's Hop. You know, that is actually true. And the funny thing is that technically, it's just funny to think about, like, in terms of, like, DreamWorks making a live-action animation hybrid, because we were very close to getting one with Kung Fu Panda 4. Maybe some of you probably have remembered that there was some behind-the-scenes stories that were revealed in which originally Kung Fu Panda 4 would have Po teaming up with this live-action human. Like, honestly, I feel glad that it wasn't made. It sounds a little too bizarre of a feature. And I mean, the movie itself with Kung Fu Panda 4, I just find it to be, like, It's just okay at best, but still though. Now seeing DreamWorks Animation entering the realm of live action animation, and especially with Gabby's Dollhouse, it is intriguing, I will say that. All right, let's see what else we got. I'm not a Gabby's Dollhouse fan since I'm 22, and this doesn't help its case. I guess the animation is okay, but the jokes are really bad, and Kristen Wiig is very annoying here. Overall, not good. But I can't bring myself to get that mad because this clearly isn't something made for me. It's the kids that like it. I can't help that. But for me, I'm going to stick to more mature films, like Smurfs, and the Lilo and Stitch remake, and Zombies 4. For legal reasons, that is a joke. Smurfs is not a mature film. Nah, I get what you mean. And by the way, it looks like the results are in terms of the poll that I made on Twitch, and it's almost unanimous that 92% of you have actually said, no, you are not going to go and watch the Gabby's Dollhouse movie. However, I am very curious of those 2 voters here who make the 8% who actually said yes. I am curious to know, if you did say yes, I would like to know why you said yes. That I want to see. I want to see those explanations. All right, so anyways, let's see what we got here. It looks cute at best, but last I checked, I'm in my 20s and I have no time for this. Although I have heard of Gabby's Dollhouse before and I'm a big fan of Blue's Clues, but I've just never seen a single episode of this. But I have seen the Gabby walk around character a few times at Universal Studios Hollywood every time I entered the park. That's all I could say about my only experience with Gabby's Dollhouse is at Universal. It's not really my thing. I'm sure the kids under 5 would enjoy it. Exactly. You know, that's kind of the best way to put it, is that you can't really get mad because, like, yeah, maybe the movie is going to suck. It's going to be absolutely terrible, but it's not necessarily made for us. It's not, you know, like, it knows that it's not meant for adults to go and watch it. It's not even those, like, family films where people of all ages can go and experience and enjoy it. Like, it is for kids and just for kids. And as long as they're happy with it, then you know what? No harm, no foul on this movie. Let's see what else we got here. I will say, I've never watched a single episode of Gabby's Dollhouse, and I know its popularity. After watching the trailer, it's fine. The animation is cute, the humor is definitely for the younger crowd, and the story is just okay. I guess DreamWorks feels very jealous of Paramount doing so well with the first 2 Paw Patrol movies and said, we got a popular preschool show too, we can make a movie about it. It'll maybe be good, but for now, I'll just pass. I mean, like, it goes without saying that with the Paw Patrol movies, they are undeniably very successful, and I wouldn't be surprised if Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, is the result of following the success of Paw Patrol. Like, this is Universal's way of answering, or Universal or DreamWorks' way of answering to the success of the Paw Patrol movies, and that they want to go and tap into that market as well, because there can be some money made if you go and make a movie based on a very popular preschool show. Maybe that is the case, maybe it's not, but again, I guess we would just have to wait and see until the end of September if the quality were to actually speak for itself. All right. Anyways, let's see here. While I haven't watched Gabby's Dollhouse series since I'm a grown man, although I have no idea the creators were the people who did Blue's Clues, and honestly, this looks harmless, and it's meant for little kids, so this is a hard pass. Heck, even the Paw Patrol movies were able to be enjoyable to people outside of the target demographic. Let's see. I think I got time to read one more, and then we're going to go on our first break. So, let's see here. This is a thing that exists. This is not for me, so I don't think I have any rights to judge as good or bad. Honestly, I think the strongest part of this trailer is the villain being an absolute ham. Like, I love her, and the actress sounds like she's had fun. Or at least she's open to being silly. So yeah, hopefully the target audience will have fun. Exactly. In terms of the movie, I think it is safe to say that I don't think people will be comparing Gabby's Dollhouse to Sinners. And it's not necessarily the kind of film that is aiming for high quality. But the best thing that I can say about it, again, is that it is very self-aware of what it wants to be. And there is a good chance that its target audience of who they want to do it for, they will enjoy it. Like, yeah, maybe the jokes are not the greatest, maybe the tone is a little bit juvenile, and maybe the villain is a little bit too hammy, especially with her performance. But I will say, it knows who it wants to do it for, and that's honestly okay. So, if you are curious as to Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, and when Gabby will be making her big screen debut, then keep in mind that the movie will be coming out on September 26th. All right, so now we're going to go on to our first break. And when we do come back, we're going to dive back into a big piece of controversy that I've talked about last week, because just today, or at least on the day that I am recording this, we actually got a significant update. So stay tuned, because we're about to hear what Saberspark has to say about all this. Welcome back. Now, on our next story, we're going to return into what I've said before, or at least what I've said on social media, is possibly the hardest story for me to cover on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And considering for how long I've been doing this, that really does say a lot. The Saberspark controversy. Now, just to go and quickly recap on what's been going on, at the beginning of this month, or in the beginning of May, there was one person on Twitter who has alleged that Saberspark had sexually assaulted them, and that they would go more into detail, or that more of it would be revealed in a video made by ILoveKimPossibleALot. And when that video was released, that turned out to be an absolute disaster, because the video was nothing more but 2 hours of just petty drama, and the serious allegations were covered for only like just under 6 minutes of those actual allegations. The rest is just stupid drama that's covered with like idiotic and pointless memes and stuff like that. It was like, like I said before, it is a contender for possibly the worst YouTube video of the year. Like, it really was that bad. But then suddenly, as of today, as I am on the day that I am recording this, in fact, we actually received a very significant update on the controversy. We actually have a little bit of a new chapter on what's been going on. And this is in regards to this video right over here. So this is specifically on May 12th, in which Saberspark himself posted this video that's just under 20 minutes, in which it is simply called Response. And on this video, Saber would go and pretty much cover his side of the story and explaining about the whole situation, especially in regards to ILoveKimPossibleALot, or as she is often referred to as KP, and a partner of KP in this entire situation, an account by the name of Brony Fan Don't, who specializes in calling out or pretty much portraying prominent people in the Brony community in a more negative light. And this is a video that I highly recommend that you would go and check out. But to make a long story short on this, is that Saberspark would go into detail about his personal relationship with KP and what he had to endure both on KP's side and on Brony Fan Don't. Especially the reason why these videos, why the now infamous video even exists in the first place, and that he stated himself that the allegations of sexual harassment are just not true. That if anything, this is just caused by a full-on hit piece by KP and Brony Fan Don't, that they were a lot more focused on trying to cancel Saberspark more so than actually seeking justice of the allegations, like trying to actually figure out if it is true or not. And since he did claim that he is innocent on the matter, that he didn't actually go and do it, he also put in links in the description to stuff such as some websites to go and actually help out people who were victims of sexual harassment, such as resources for RAIN.org and also the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. So to go and basically to go and show his support for people who were actually sexually assaulted, and to go and highlight that these types of allegations, they should not be played around with. They shouldn't be used as just like a means to an end in order to get rid of people that they don't like. Now, I will say that prior to starting this episode, I did go and watch Saber's video. And I gotta say that in general, it is a very well-made video. Like definitely a lot more competent than KP. And definitely, like, he did actually do a good job to go and make his statement to go and show how, why is it like with KP and Brony Fan Don't, that all this controversy has been nothing more but a product of just this very petty grudge, especially with KP's grudge against the individual that she mainly targeted in her 2-hour video, Chris, whom he is noted to be someone not only who has a history with KP, but is also someone working with Saberspark as well. And Saber actually did shed some light on the matter, where he also showed a clip, which is from a clip of a conversation that Chris and KP had, in which Chris actually did acknowledge what he did wrong in the past, even if it is a joke, and actually apologized on the matter. Like, he did express to KP that he is truly sorry. But KP is someone that, unfortunately, she holds a very, very nasty grudge, and she is willing to do anything to go and take him down. And that the real reason why KP went after Saberspark in the first place is because because Saber refused to comply, to go and, in lack of a better word, to go and cancel Chris. That she wants Chris to be fully canceled and wants to completely ruin his life. And she has been demanding Saberspark to go and cancel Chris, so much so to the point that because Saberspark said no, then she's ready to go and try to take down Saberspark with him as well. And then you also have someone like Brony Fan Don't, whom that is another person with such like this unhealthy grudge and hatred towards Saberspark, that it was clear that with their intentions that they were focusing a lot more on just trying to cancel Saberspark, and doesn't necessarily care, or actually doesn't actually care about sexual assault whatsoever, not even knowing what RAIN is in the first place. Like, they were not focused on trying to help the alleged victim. They were focusing on trying to take down Saberspark by any means necessary. And even when it comes to the allegation, he even mentioned that with KP, she actually admitted, like, there is actually an interview with KP that she recently did where she admitted that she doesn't necessarily have that much evidence against Saberspark in terms of those actual allegations. Like, she doesn't have much to go and actually fully prove if Saberspark actually assaulted the alleged victim back in like 2012 or 2013, where she admitted that it was just hearsay. And there is something that I personally want to go and add onto this factor as well. But this is something that I can also confirm, that with KP, she did even admit to me that she doesn't have that much evidence to fully back up the claim that Saberspark did sexually assault the alleged victim, or that she would have anything to further prove the alleged victim's case. this is actually something that did happen like last week or just a few days ago. Like back during the middle when everybody is so upset with KP, she actually did contact me and she asked me, in her words, if I can go and provide a platform to excuse me, to provide a platform to the victims. That basically she wanted to go and pass the baton on to me. And from there, like, I did try to think about it because, like, again, I am very well aware of how messy this situation is. And I asked her, okay, if I am going to do this, then can you go and provide me the materials that you have that would be evidence against the people that you called out on, especially with DA Games and Saberspark? And she actually responded to me. Like, she actually did provide her piece, like a lot of the materials that she had that she would go and use as an argument against those people. And when it comes to Saber, she did mention something very interesting. So I just want to go and pull out my Discord. So I just want to go and find it. Where is it again? Okay, so it's right. Yeah, okay, so it's right over here. I'm checking on my phone, by the way. But I asked, like, if there are any evidence that you have that may prove if DA and Saber have done what the allegations have. But she also mentioned, like, she already passed me this video. So, like, okay, that could be a good start. But then KP responded with, the DA game stuff have a bunch of evidence. And then she replied or responded with, there is no evidence for the Saber victim besides con footage that would identify them. So I don't know if you can, so if you can see right over here, actually, you know what? Hold on a sec. Just need to go and, here, I'll close down the filter because that could be a little bit annoying. Oops. Okay, not that one. I meant this one. Okay, so let me just close this for a sec, because I don't want the blurriness to go and cover. But as you could see here, a sec, if you could actually see, maybe later I should go and actually send like some, I could show some images. But yeah, this is pretty much her response. That yeah, I know it's hard to actually get a legitimate focus onto what's been said here, especially like, it's just focusing on the reflection, so it's not really helping. But yeah, this is basically to say that this is what KP has sent to me. So don't worry, I'll go and send a picture. Like after this show, I'll go on social media and then I'll go and show a proper image of what KP has said and what we have shared. So the point that I wanted to go is to go and clarify that even KP has admitted to me that she doesn't have the actual evidence to go and fully prove that what the testimony from the alleged victim said was real, and that she cannot prove if Saberspark is a legitimate predator or not. So yeah, it's honestly, like, the more I think about it, the more that it's actually shocking and pretty appalling, I gotta say, because like you probably know that prior to releasing her video, she tried so hard to like fully advertise, like trying to make this such a gigantic deal that she is ready to go and take down the pedos and take down the sexual assaulters and taking down the predators and stuff like that. Like, she was advertising that she was going to let out some truth, and yet she knew deep down that there are some things that she had that they weren't really valid, that they weren't necessarily truthful. And in that regards, it feels very dangerous. And honestly, with the video that Saberspark has presented with both KP and with Brony Fan Don't as well, it really shows how reckless that they have become. And it's like, the more, it really does feel like the more that's been revealed about KP and Brony Fan Don't and the way that they've been handling it, the more it feels like it's just been getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it really does force both of them into a corner that they really cannot get out of. Like, it really is the case that the more that you learn about how they try to handle the situation or what their intentions are and stuff like that. And this is especially the case with this Saberspark video, where Saber did actually provide a lot of evidence, not just from like past interviews, but also with some past messages as well. Yeah, it really shows that they very much messed up. And especially with their intentions, where they prioritize trying to cancel the people that they don't like, it really does undermine the victim. And it really does put a massive blow to the credibility of what the alleged victims have said before, both for Saberspark and for DA Games. And I'll even mention that KP also responded, where she actually said that right now, you know, like when she was giving me like some of the materials, and like I even asked, along with those materials that she used as her evidence, I also asked her, is it possible to also get contacts from the alleged victims? And she actually told me that she doesn't have them anymore, because even the alleged victims are massively upset with KP with the way that she actually handled this entire situation. So even even those alleged victims aren't in touch with KP anymore because of how much she has screwed up in this entire situation. So honestly, I like to go back into the video in question here. I do find that Saber actually did a very good job with it. You know, this is a very solidly made video that actually does prove his point that he is also a victim in this case, where he is a victim of harassment and a victim of a hate piece from just a bunch of haters who desperately wanted to go and cancel him, even using allegations that even they don't know if it's actually true or not, but just try to go and throw it anyways for the sake of trying to further trying to further cancel the person that they don't like. And on top of the fact that we do see Saber mentioning about Rain, and also just to quickly double check, like to mention Rain and the NSVRC, like it is a good, you know, it does actually help things out on Saber's case, where this could actually help him out to go back on track, and that he could survive this entire controversy, that he could walk out with a full-on not guilty verdict. But I will say also, there is a part of me that when watching this, while I do applaud Saberspark for what he has done, and I definitely do agree with his criticisms against KP and Brony Fan Don't, there's a part of me that wanted to go and be like Columbo, where I would go and walk out, and then I would just be like, just one question. Because while this video is very good, there's something that I have noticed that throughout this 20-minute or less than 20-minute video, there's something that Saber didn't talk about. And that is the actual allegation itself. Like, he almost purely focused on the aspect of KP and Brony Fan Don't. And while I do agree with him and that he did make a very good case against them, he said next to nothing about the actual allegations. That all he said was just the fact that they are false, and that's it. He never went into the details of what the allegations actually said. He didn't go and try to fact check any of those things to go into his defense to say that, okay, well, this part is true, but there's also this part that's not true, and then this part is not true. Like, he could definitely go into detail with KP and Brony Fan Don't, but he did not glance over or did not talk about the actual allegation itself. And by the way, if anybody wants to go and ask, no, he did not mention anything in regards to Black Griffin whatsoever, because that's also part of the controversy as well that people have kept bringing up about Saberspark. Like, he mentioned Black Griffin once, but nothing related to their controversy and nothing related to his controversy either. And this is why I personally feel like this whole thing, it is not over yet. That yes, Saber did make his case, and it is a very good case against KP and Brony Fan Don't. And now he has the upper hand in this case, where there is a stronger possibility now that he could walk away and be considered innocent. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we are fully out of the woods yet. That doesn't mean that this controversy is fully over, because the allegations themselves have not been addressed. And I'll say right now, I can definitely tell that with Saber, he's trying to do everything he can in order to handle this very professionally. Like, you could even tell in this video, like, even if I don't play the audio, like, you could definitely tell that the dude is actually reading from an entire script. Like, I'll even go like right over here. Like, you could tell that, like, sometimes his eyes will be on the camera, but then he will then move his eyes onto the screen to go and read the script. And I mean, okay, that's not necessarily bad. Like, I'm not saying that, oh, this is a part of where he could be guilty, but you could tell that he is doing his best to go and handle this as professionally as possible. And one thing that I do know with Saberspark is that ever since this controversy all began, he has been in touch with his lawyer to ensure that he can have the best outcome in this situation. So I can imagine that with Saberspark right now, he's like, the only thing that he's currently doing, like, his top priority is to follow his lawyer's instructions to make sure that he comes out with the best outcome that he possibly can. And even with this, like, I'm sure that his lawyer really helped him out in this video to go and direct him on, like, okay, talk about this, don't talk about that, mention this, don't mention about that, you know, to do all these things. But with that said, though, even though that, yeah, like, he's heavily coordinated with his lawyer right now in order to get himself out of the controversy, and even though, like, I do say it is not done yet, even though, like, now Saber has the advantage in this case, there is one key player that I will say right now, it'll be a surprise name, but eventually this person will come in and hopefully he will go and answer the questions that we need. And that is the mysterious Mr. Enter. Now, I know it sounds a bit random to bring up Mr. Enter, but the thing is that right now, John actually did do his own investigation last week, and it was just recently that he actually closed off his case and is currently working on his YouTube video, and hopefully he will go and actually answer the questions in relation to the allegation itself, if there is some actual truth to it or if there is not. So hopefully he can go and actually take charge in this case, and hopefully it'll be soon that we can go and actually determine if the allegations are actually true or if they are actually false. Like, right now, who is telling the truth here? Is it Saberspark or is the alleged victim? And I am hoping that John could go and actually answer that question. In fact, I actually did email him if I could go and help out in the case, like, however I can. But I haven't heard from him yet, so I guess we'll see how it goes. But in the current situation that it stands, I feel like we are entering a new chapter in this, especially now with Saberspark responding to it, and that, yeah, the video itself, it is very solid, and as you could see here, it is very positively received with a lot more people believing in Saber here. But in my opinion, I don't feel like it is over yet. And I'm not saying this because I want to hear that Saberspark is guilty. I'm not. You know, honestly, for me, the only priority that I have in this case is to figure out, are the allegations true or not? That's all I care about. That's what I really want to know here. Like, the only thing that we know so far is just how much KP and Brony Fan Don't screwed up in this situation. But what I want to know is Is Saberspark guilty, or is the alleged victim lying? That's what I want to know, because so far, KP didn't answer it. Saberspark didn't answer it. Someone's got to go and answer it at some point, because like I said before, we cannot leave allegations to be left for interpretation with the audience. And at this point right now, people are leaning into Saberspark probably being innocent on the matter. So we'll just have to wait and see if there is going to be another update in this case. All right, so I know we don't necessarily have a whole lot of time left, but I'm going to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, how do you feel about this update on the Saberspark controversy? And especially if you have seen the video, I would love to know what you think on the matter. All right, so let's see what we got here. Regardless of whether or not the allegations did end up true, you cannot deny that the situation couldn't have been handled worse if they tried, especially with KP's video. Not only with the lack of evidence bordering on libel levels, but also the video just sucked. I can't add much that wasn't handled already by the Cartoon Sheep video, but while I won't be going back to Saberspark anytime soon until he addresses the elephant in the room, this whole brouhaha was a total wreck. Oh, absolutely, I agree with you there. I saw Saberspark's video earlier today, and I gotta say, it's definitely better than KP's video. I'm glad that with this video, the whole controversy is starting to die down and that Saber was able to prove his innocence. However, the fact that KP tried to take him down without any sort of evidence is just ridiculous and just flat out stupid. Also, now with this new update, are you still friends with KP? Honestly, I don't know. At this point, I'm not there yet, but I am starting to think of cutting ties with her. Because before, I actually was trying to be more sympathetic to KP, and I told her, like, yo, like, I know you're in rock bottom, but, like, hey, you could probably get out of this. Things will get better. But ever since then, it started to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And even with Saberspark video, with what he's trying to prove, oh boy, I guess I could be wrong, or I just didn't know how bad it would be. So I'm starting to think about it. I'm just going to say that. Let's see. Oh, here's one from Peleosteno. KP had been jealous of Saber for years, ever since the Brony days, so it does not surprise me how she acted in the slightest. I was around Saber 99% of the time during the conventions in 2012 and 2013, so so were many other friends, so the allegations don't make sense to me. In my previous message, I said, I haven't talked to Saber in a couple of years, but it's not related to this and not heinous reasons at all. I haven't said anything because I don't want to be dragged into this, into anything for my own sake, but after seeing the video, I'm proud of how he handled it. Honestly, that is definitely true. And I mean, there was a time when keep in mind, Pelio and Saber have been good friends for a long time. But like now, I'm not going to go into the details of like what's happening now, but the point is that, yeah, Pelio would be a good source of this info. And honestly, I definitely do believe what he would go and say on the matter. So yeah, that's, you know, honestly, I do agree with what you have to say on that. Let's see. Regardless whether you believe that Saberspark did it or not, there is absolutely no doubt that the way how Brony Fan Don't and KP handled the accusations is dangerously destructive for the alleged victim's sake and Saberspark's sake. It's saying a lot when one of the few people who is actually taking the situation seriously and delicately as possible is Mr. Enter. This is definitely far from over. Exactly. We need enough. That's why I'm asking. We need another update to go and address the actual allegations. Are they true or not? Because so far now, things are leaning into no, the allegations may not be true. Let's see here. In terms of Saberspark's response, I think he addressed the problem with KP's video and Brony Fan Don't's weird agenda for him. Although there is the elephant in the room, which is him defending Black Griffin, who has actual allegations of being a child groomer, and so far Saber has not addressed this yet. I think this is a good step, but he still needs to address Black Griffin before he's fully in the clear. And I will, in regards of Mr. Enter, he's definitely having a redemption. Yeah, who knew that out of all this, suddenly we're also seeing a Mr. Enter comeback story. All right, so anyways, we don't really have that much time left, so I'm going to go on to the next break right now, and when we do come back, we're going to go and shed a more positive light, or we're going to go into a much more happier story with the next thing that I have here, because we are about to get another Aardman sequel. And considering how well they did with Vengeance Most Foul, you bet I'm going to be hyped up for this one as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now let's go and change up the tone and talk about something that I know I'm excited for, and maybe you will as well, because we are going to be talking about Aardman. And recently, Aardman has made a strong comeback with their last movie that they have released. I know it's probably debatable. Some could say, well, it's the end of 2024 because they aired it on the BBC, or it was the beginning of 2025 when it was released globally on Netflix. But either way, the last movie that they brought out was Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul. And I will say that, to be honest, it's one of my favorite animated movies that came out in recent years. It is phenomenal, and I'll even go as far and say that it is possibly the best thing that Aardman has released since Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Like, it is legit that much of a masterpiece. And I know that prior to that, they weren't doing that great when it comes to handling sequels, especially with Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget. I didn't find that sequel to be great or even that good in the first place. It's kind of like if you give Chicken Run the Disney direct-to-video treatment, especially with a plot line that feels a little bit too familiar to The Little Mermaid 2. But in this case here with Vengeance Most Foul, they did an excellent job with it. In fact, hot take, honestly, I would give the awards of Best Animated Feature to Vengeance Most Foul over Flow. But this is not about Vengeance Most Foul. This is about the next movie that they are making. And they recently just announced that they are in production of it. And yes, this is another one in which it will be a sequel to another beloved IP that they have. So let's go ahead and talk about the third Shaun the Sheep movie. Yes, Aardman has announced that they are going to be making a third Shaun the Sheep movie. And not only is it now officially in production, but they even provided some extra info on it, in which we are going to be getting it, maybe not soon, but probably sooner than you may think. Because now, as you can see here on Aardman's official website, they have announced that they are going to be collaborating with Sky Cinema and Studio Canal in order to go and actually produce the movie that is now called Shaun the Sheep, The Beast of Mossy Bottom. And this is actually going to be a Halloween movie that they have in store. And not to mention that they have also revealed that they will be releasing it in theaters in the UK. I doubt if they're also going to be doing so globally, like in North America and stuff like that. Like, chances are it'll be released on Netflix. But let's get back into The Beast of Mossy Bottom, in which they also provided a little bit of extra info of what this is. So let me go and read from my source here on Aardman, in which they said, Shaun the Sheep, the Beast of Mossy Bottom, sees the residents of Mossy Bottom Farm looking forward to Halloween, until the clumsy farmer trashes the flock's beloved pumpkin patch. When Shaun turns mad scientist to fix the problem, things rapidly spiral out of control. With the farmer missing and a wild beast roaming the woods of Mossingham, all the ingredients are in place for a monstrously fun family adventure. And we even got some quotes here, which I'm going to be reading the one that is from the creative director at Aardman, Sarah Cox, in which she says here, Shaun the Sheep is an iconic character beloved by viewers of all ages around the world. In our new animated movie, we bring family-friendly thrills to this lighthearted, spooky Halloween adventure. Expect smashed pumpkins, wayward science, and a wild, hairy beast on the loose in Mossy Bottom, all delivered with the flock's trademark joyous comedy. And on top of that, we actually have not necessarily a specific release date, but we do know when it is going to be coming out, in which they stated that they have it set for release in 2026. Now, I'm just going to go and immediately say this now, that considering that they do mention that this will be set in Halloween time, I'm expecting that this will probably be coming out in Halloween times 2026. So if I could go and make a guess in terms of the release date, or at least in terms of the first release date, which will be for UK theaters, I'm probably going to go and predict maybe it'll be somewhere at the end of September or somewhere around October. You know, like to go and capitalize on the Halloween time, especially when this is a Halloween movie. But regardless, I don't know when specifically, but they do say it'll be sometime in 2026, especially if they said that now it is officially in production. Like if they are starting now, then yeah, they'll definitely need all the time in order to go and create this animated movie. So yeah, as you could probably guess, already I've expressed like how much I love what they have done with Vengeance Most Foul. So of course, I'm also going to be excited to see what they are going to do with the Beast of Mossy Bottom, especially with how well that they have previously handled the Shaun the Sheep movies before. I definitely did enjoy them. Like, the first Shaun the Sheep movie, I thought it was honestly cute. It was very well made. It was fun, but it's like nothing like majorly special. I mean, it's just the sheeps that are in the big city where they're trying to go and find the farmer who was missing, which honestly, now thinking about it, yeah, I guess there are going to be some plot elements in the Beast of Mossy Bottom that are going to be familiar to the first, because it looks like the farmer is going to be missing again. So yeah, there's going to be that they'll have to go and deal with. But then there is Farmageddon, which was released back in 2019 in UK theaters and then onto Netflix in 2020. And that movie, I gotta say, not only do I find it to be better than the first Shaun the Sheep movie, but that film, oh my God, it is so freaking underrated. It is that movie I find to be absolutely hilarious. And the film has this great twist on that trope of like that E.T. narrative of an alien suddenly coming in and teaming up with the main protagonist in order to find their way back home and trying to dodge the government from, from being captured and being experimented and stuff like that. They did such a beautiful job with it. And it's honestly a bit disappointing to not see more people actually go and talk about Farmageddon. It is such a great and hilarious movie. Honestly, like, as I mentioned before, I was a bit disappointed with their take on Dawn of the Nugget. But still, though, in terms of the track record that they have with sequels now, they started off very strong with Farmageddon, and now we're seeing that they could still be strong, especially with Vengeance Most Foul. So I can imagine that now with the third Shaun the Sheep movie with Beast of Mossy Bottom, they'll definitely do. Yeah, I'm hoping that they will do a great job, especially now with this. They are going to be going into some familiar territory, because this is not the first time that they're going to play around with the horror genre or make this Halloween type movie, because it feels very reminiscent to what they have already done with The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, because you could argue that in a way that film as well is kind of like a Halloween type movie that is kind of like a spoof on classic horror films. You know, like we're talking about like the old Universal monsters or the old Hammer films, that it's a little bit of a throwback and a little bit of a parody on those as well, but it is still very effective in terms of how they get into that style of horror while still making it a fun and very hilarious feature. So I can imagine like they already got the knowledge on how to do that properly. So it's going to be great to see how they'll also go and implement that with the Shaun the Sheep movie. So that I think is absolutely going to be fun as well. And just to go back in terms of the release date as well, yeah, like I said, I am predicting that maybe it is at the earliest is going to be somewhere at the end of September or maybe in October of 2026. But I am also hoping that maybe like after it does get released in UK theaters, that pretty soon afterwards, they'll also go and release it around Halloween time globally onto some place like Netflix. I mean, sadly, we have already seen how stop motion, sadly, it's pretty much hopeless to have that be released in theaters because it's almost a guarantee that they're going to turn out as like big box office flops. So they'll have to have a place like Netflix. And I mean, especially after the big success that they had with distributing Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul, I can imagine that they'll want to do more deals with Aardman again, and that Netflix would want to have the Beast of Mossy Bottom to be a part of their collection, just like what they did with Farmageddon. So in that regards, I am just hoping that maybe that people outside of the UK will get to go and experience Shaun the Sheep's Halloween movie around the same time as them. I know it's going to sound very weird to have like one country is going to have it in theaters and then everyone else is just going to have it on Netflix. It's a strange thing, but I'm just expressing for myself that I want to see this movie, and like it would be a great Halloween movie to go and get into the experience, get into the theme of all of it. But I don't know, I could honestly totally be wrong, but overall, though, this is just to go and say, even though we don't necessarily have a lot of info as is, I am definitely excited for this, and I'll already go and put this among one of my most anticipated movies of 2026. Like already, Aardman has proven that they could do amazing things with sequels, especially with Farmageddon and Vengeance Most Foul, and I am hoping for the best that this will be in the same league as those features. Like they already are, they've already proven that they can do great things with the style of comedy of Shaun the Sheep, and they've already proven they could do some great things with sequels. So maybe this is going to be in the same leagues, and this is going to be another great addition in Aardman's collection. So if you are excited as I am for the Beast of Mossy Bottom, then keep in mind that the film will be coming out later next year in 2026. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think of the announcement of the Beast of Mossy Bottom? Are you guys excited for it? Are you guys not sure if it's going to be good? And especially if you are a fan of Shaun the Sheep, I would love to know what you think on that. In fact, I think it might be a pretty good time to go and do a poll right now. So let me just go and ask you all, are you excited? There we go. Excited for Shaun the Sheep's third movie? So let me just go and write down yes. Oops. Yes. And then I'll write down no. No. And then we'll start the poll right over here. Let's see what you all have to say. All right. Let's see. Okay. I really like both the Shaun the Sheep movies, and this definitely got me excited. I can definitely see how this could be a fun Halloween movie, and after Vengeance Most Foul, I definitely have confidence in Aardman when it comes to making sequels, so overall, this is definitely exciting. All right. Let's see what else do we have here. I remember watching the first two Shaun the Sheep movies with my grandma, so I'm mostly excited for this just for her reaction. She kind of needs it right now. This year has been hard on her. Plus, with how Farmageddon was a spoof on alien movies, it's nice that they expand on that by having this be a spoof on monster movies. This is going to be a must-watch, but if we don't get a Were-Rabbit cameo, then what are we doing? Oh, that actually is a good point, because, like, with these recent Aardman movies, we have been seeing more cameos. Like in Dawn of the Nugget, there was a quick cameo of Feathers McGraw, and then in Vengeance Most Foul, we got a cameo from the farmer. But then again, I don't know if it would be the were-rabbit if we would see a cameo, because as you can see, and like as you may have noticed in what I've mentioned, there's a little bit of a pattern. They're kind of doing like Pixar in a way, where if we see a cameo from a different movie, that means they're putting in a cameo of what's going to be their next feature. So with the fact that we got Feathers McGraw and Dawn of the Nugget, that means it's highlighting what's to come with Vengeance Most Foul. And funny enough, since Vengeance Most Foul had a cameo from the farmer, that means we got another Shaun the Sheep movie. So I don't know what they're going to do with the next one. So I don't know who's going to be making a cameo, if they're going to have like maybe a character from like the Creature Comforts, or maybe if they're going to go and maybe they'll have a Were-Rabbit cameo. But chances are, if we are getting a cameo from another Aardman character in the Beast of Mossy Bottom, there's a good chance that it could be an indicator of what their next movie is going to be. So just letting you know on that. Or you know what? Just mess with everybody. Just get like maybe one of the cavemen from Early Man and just say that we're making an Early Man 2 for some reason. Okay, anyways, another Aardman movie, I'm interested. Another Shaun the Sheep movie, I'm even more interested. I'll definitely add the Beast of Mossy Bottom onto the films of 2026 to look forward to. I'm glad to see that Aardman has gotten better and more comfortable at making sequels. If this will continue, how much longer until we get another movie starring the pirate captain? Oh, that's another one. That's another one that I forgot about. That's true. Maybe we could have a cameo from the Pirates, actually, and then they'll announce that we're going to get a sequel to the Pirates. That's another, like, underappreciated movie, honestly. That, you know, that's another film, like, I could see them do a sequel. Like, I like, maybe the Pirates, like, that Pirates movie, like, sure, it's not necessarily, like, the best thing from Aardman, but it's still a very solid film nonetheless. So honestly, I would be intrigued to see if they would be down to do another Pirates movie, and if we would have a Pirates cameo in the Beast of Mossy Bottom. Let's see what we got. What else do we have? Oh, by the way, I noticed in the poll here, this is another case where it is almost unanimous, and 95% of you who have voted have actually said, yes, you are excited to go and see the third Shaun the Sheep movie, with only one who said no. We only got one person who went and said, nay. And that's it. All right, so I can definitely tell that the hype is real for this Shaun the Sheep movie. Anyways, what else do we have here? Let's just say that I've had an amazing relationship with Aardman. Last October, I got to meet Nick Park at the world premiere of Vengeance Most Foul, reunited with him, and finally met Merlin Crossingham at the Annies, and Aardman themselves actually liked my posts about my highlights at the Annies. Now hearing that Aardman is doing another Shaun the Sheep and its Halloween-themed film, it does get my excitement up, since I do love Shaun the Sheep films, including Farmageddon. Oh, exactly. Honestly, like, I am aware that when it comes to Aardman, they do know what people are saying about them on social media. Even if, like, you're a small creator or something like that, like, they will be aware of it, and that, you know, they'll be supportive if you are helping out to go and promote their stuff. So, honestly, I'll even say, I wouldn't be surprised if that would be my case, if they're hearing about what I'm talking about with the Beast of Mossy Bottom, and that they would like it as well. But I guess, we will see. I could be wrong as well. I mean, like, why would they care about little old me? All right, anyways, what else do we have here? I always love when Aardman does a movie announcement, and the first Shaun the Sheep movie was really charming. Also, I need to see Farmageddon, but hey, this is always fun to see Aardman making a movie. These Brits always have my recommendations. See you in 2026, Aardman. All right, very nice. Let's see now. Oh, okay. Ryan has a comment here. The only problem with doing a Pirates sequel is that Sony owns the rights to the movie, and the character's so useless they can find a way, like they did with Chicken Run, to make a sequel entirely on their own. We have to keep dreaming on that one. So we can't? I don't know, man. Yeah, like honestly, but I think that there must be a way. I mean, it's not like Sony is going to be like gatekeeping the freaking pirates like they're gatekeeping Spider-Man from Disney and Marvel, you know? There's got to be a way around it. And I mean, if like, and keep in mind, like with Chicken Run, like the original one, you could say that now it is owned by Universal and DreamWorks. But if they're able to go and find a way to make it their own thing so that they could do their own sequel, then hopefully they could try to do the same thing with Pirates, that they could find a way to like maneuver around it so that they can release that Pirate sequel. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, hopefully there is a way, or that maybe Sony can like throw them a bone and just give them the rights. I mean, it's not like Sony can do anything with those freaking rights. It's not like they want to go and make a freaking Pirate sequel. So give those rights back to Aardman and let them do what they want with the Pirates. I'm just saying. Okay, I think I'll read one more comment and then we're going to go on to our next break. Let's see. What other comment would there be? I don't know if there's one that... are there any others? Just trying to make sure. Okay. I wish stop motion animated films can make some money at the box office. The last time we've had a stop motion animated film making money was Coraline back in 2009. Well, I mean, it's a very difficult case right now. I think that's like a whole different subject altogether. Not to mention that technically, if you want to go into that kind of technicality, Coraline recently was a massive hit at the box office. Okay, maybe not a massive hit, but it was successful at the box office, where the re-release of it that it did, I think back last year, like that actually like did some numbers. Like it really got up among like at least the top 5 at the box office during that time. So yeah, this is all to go and talk about the third Shaun the Sheep movie. I'm excited for it, and it sounds like you're excited for it as well. So keep an eye out for it in 2026. All right, so we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, we're going to go back into the realm of toys. But instead of going into Gabby's Dollhouse, we're going to go into something that is not for preschoolers at all. Let's just say that this is more of an adult toy. Okay, maybe not that kind of adult toy, but this is more of a toy that is aimed for adults. And this toy is now about to get a lot more animated, so stay tuned for that. All right, welcome back. Now, we're going to go on to our next story, in which I will be talking about Seth MacFarlane. Yes, a very interesting figure in both entertainment and animation. And so far, from what we have seen with Seth, he has seen a lot of great success, including one franchise that he has created, which was his attempt to enter into the realm of movies. And it actually worked out very well for him. And what I am talking about is Ted. Now, there's a good chance that maybe if you're listening or watching this, you probably have seen the first Ted movie. Maybe you have also seen the second movie as well. Or maybe you have also seen the prequel series that is out on Peacock. So things have been going very well for Ted. But it looks like his legacy is not over yet. Yes, the foul-mouthed teddy bear has more tricks up his sleeve, where even though he has always been a fully animated character, now the same can be said with just about everything around him. Yes, folks, very soon we are going to get a full-on Ted animated series. Yes, Peacock has announced that they are now going to go and have a Ted animated series for their platform, and that they're already collaborating with Seth MacFarlane in order to do so, in which he will be not just the executive producer, but also, of course, he's going to be voicing Ted, as well as be the writer of the series, or at least one of the writers for this animated series. Now, I'll just say now that yes, this will still be going on alongside the Ted prequel series. But this time around with the animated series, this is actually going to be a sequel series. This is going to be after the events of the movies. And since it is going to be a sequel, they actually did bring back the actors from the films to go and reprise their roles. So on top of MacFarlane playing as Ted, we also have Mark Wahlberg, who will be playing as John, Amanda Seyfried as Sam, and Jessica Barth as Tammy Lynn. And on top of that, we also got some new characters as well, including Apollo, who will be played by Kyle Mooney, and Ruth, who will be played by Liz Richmond. Which, by the way, is worth noting that Liz Richmond is actually someone who has experience with Ted in the past, where she actually plays as Polly in several episodes of the Ted live-action prequel series. And now they are going to be working on the Ted animated sequel series. Now, I'm just going to let you know right now that we don't necessarily have any more information about it. We don't know when this is going to be coming out. We don't know how far into production that they're in. Like, maybe they're just starting it. Maybe they're in the middle of it and they just want to go and announce it now. But it's not necessarily that much of a surprise, especially with how successful Universal has been with these TED projects. Not just with the movies that, you know, they have made a lot of money at the box office, but even the Ted prequel series. Let me just go and read you here from my source of the, just to go and read you from my source here on Variety, in which they said that this is now the second TED TV show at Peacock, as the streamer is also currently airs a live-action prequel series. That show launched in January of 2024 and broke records as Peacock's most watched original title to date. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily like this is the most watched original thing that exclusively came out on Peacock in general, or if it's just in terms of TV shows. But it is safe to say that that Ted prequel series, it managed to break records on Peacock. It is very successful. So, of course, they're going to go and ask another one. You know, they want another one of these to go and actually happen. Now, I just want to go and say that when it comes to not just Ted, but in general, in terms of the works of Seth MacFarlane, they have been very interesting. Because like I said before, Seth MacFarlane has been seeing some great success, and he is continuing to see great success, especially when many of his major shows like Family Guy and American Dad, they are still renewed. And I think, like, last I heard, I think, well, technically Disney, but also 20th Century, they have renewed both Family Guy and American Dad for like 4 more seasons right now. So yeah, we're going to still see a lot more of their works in the future. So there's still going to be a lot of that to come. But also, like, when it comes to Ted, like, I'm also seeing some great success on that as well. But I gotta say, it is very interesting in terms of the quality of the shows themselves, because when it comes to Seth MacFarlane's works, like, I'm talking about stuff like Family Guy, American Dad, as well as Ted and stuff like that, I feel like, honestly, for the most part, they're not, like, in terms of the word of mouth of what people have been saying, they're not great in terms of the shows themselves. Like, when it comes to actually watching those episodes, it's not really that great. They're not well structured. They're not well, or, you know, they're not well organized in order to make the gags or the plot line effective. They're just not necessarily that great altogether. You know, they don't combine well to make a proper story. However, they are great in terms of making compilations. Like, the individual gags that they would go and create on these episodes, they seem to work a lot better when it comes to, like, taking them out of context from their episode and then just making compilations on the internet, or just making memes on whatever case that they would go and do. And that's especially the case with Family Guy nowadays, where seeing, like, these random compilations of, like, Family Guy moments are still massively popular on YouTube and on social media. Even from time to time, I would see it on, like, Facebook or on YouTube and stuff like that, where people would go and share, like, 5 random moments from Family Guy that has happened in the more recent episodes than in anything from, like, in the older episodes when I would go and used to watch them. And I'll give it that there are times when like some gags that they would do in recent days, like they could be absolutely funny. Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like, well, okay, I keep repeating funny, but the thing is with Seth MacFarlane's stuff, it's like they're more, it's more enjoyable to watch the gags more so than the actual episodes, to see them all in the context of where they are from, because there is some good material there. It's just they're not used in good material that is used in order to go and make a proper TV show. And I would say that is a similar case to Ted as well. That's what I've been hearing, at least in the word of mouth. I haven't seen any of the episodes, but I haven't necessarily heard any positive things about the Ted series, itself. Even though they can be massively popular, I haven't heard things that are like very popular, that is like very, highly praised of like the writing or the story or the performances or anything like that. And I know I've seen, by the way, some people are mentioning about Orville as well. That one I will say is a little bit of an exception. I've heard more positive things about Orville, more so than I have heard in regards to stuff like the newer episodes of Family Guy or or American Dad, or even the Ted prequel series. So yeah, honestly, I'm gonna say Orville is probably the exception there. But when it comes to Ted itself, like when it comes to the Ted series, it's a bit of the same thing, honestly. I don't hear great things necessarily of how it is as a TV show, but when it comes to making like out of context stuff, it's great, honestly. Like there are some comedic material that actually works very well that people would go and use in order to make like random compilations and just see like the random comedic moments that happens in Ted. And in a way, that has been fueling up a lot of the show's popularity. And not to mention that I have seen it when that Ted series can actually bring out some viral memes, that there is some material that people would go and use, and that would actually be popular. In fact, I actually do have an example of this. There's one that I do remember, maybe you probably have seen it as well, is where Ted would go and suddenly run away from being held accountable to something. Like, this is just an example right over here that I want to show you.
Okay, look. I think if we all just take a couple of deep breaths here and just try to...
Okay, so that's just one example right there. So this is one of the many examples that they would go and show of this meme. Essentially, Ted trying to say like, okay, let's calm the situation. And then he would try to run away. And then there would be like goofy sound effects and there would be a little bit of music. I remember one of the first ones I've seen that was actually pretty funny. It was it was that where we see Ted is like, all right, everybody just go and like, let's settle down. Let's try to calm. Let's take a deep breath here. And then they would play like a Sonic the Hedgehog song where they would speed up the footage and then you just hear like, honestly, it was great. Like I tried to find that specific one, but I settled with this as well. But this is one that has often been shared again and again. And I can definitely see that you guys love that meme. So far, like many of you have expressed that you are just laughing a lot. And that really does prove my point, is that in the context of the show itself, maybe it's not as effective. But when you take it out of context and you try to format it as a meme, that yeah, suddenly it becomes a lot funnier. And I think that's really the big thing, or like one of the main secrets to Seth MacFarlane's modern success, is that even though with stuff like Family Guy or with Ted or with American Dad or even with Orville and stuff like that, like the stuff that they would do that, like the comedic material that they would do in their shows, like it's almost good, but they make a great canvas to go and create memes out of it, to go and create out of context compilations out of it. Like Seth MacFarlane is giving them like the materials that people can do in order to create something amazing, like to really go and like elevate it in a sense. It's like if Seth MacFarlane he made a very excellent cake, you know, but it's a very basic cake, and it's up to the people on the internet to go and give it the right decorations and to give it the right additional flavors in order to really make it extra, in order to really make those gags really go and pack a punch. And because of those, I think those are actually key in order to really go and help out the success to keep on going with many of Seth's franchises, especially with stuff like Family Guy, with American Dad, and with Ted as a franchise. I think that is why we are seeing stuff, you know, that's why we're seeing, like, with Seth's shows like Family Guy and American Dad, that's why they're still going. That's why they still keep on making more of those, you know, they're adding in season after season. They still keep on making that. And even with Ted right now, that's why they're still going and finding, like, all the materials that they could think of as possible. Like, not like we've already got like the movies that they have established, and then like now we got a prequel series, and now they want to continue forward with making a sequel series, especially with the fact that now that they are adding in people like the people from the movies, like the big names like Mark Wahlberg and Amanda Seyfried, I can imagine that the show is going to do very well. And I think honestly, like with the, you know, with what we have seen with Seth MacFarlane's recent shows, I think that's what I'm personally expecting with the animated Ted series. Honestly, I think in terms of like what people will think of it, in terms of what reviews will go and say, I'm not expecting great things. I'm expecting people might say that it's mid, that it's just okay, or that maybe it's subpar, or it kind of sucks a little bit. But I can guarantee you it will be massively successful, especially with how dedicated Seth MacFarlane fans are, that it will definitely rank in the numbers. And I can imagine that it'll probably bring in a lot of material in order to go and actually, like, you know, again, bring in that canvas. They'll bring in comedic materials that will be perfect to go and actually create many of these compilations or create some new possible memes related to Ted. I don't know if it's going to be that effective, but I could totally be wrong, or hey, maybe I could be wrong in a good way where maybe this Ted series could actually turn out to be great. Like, not just for the comedy to be used for compilations and memes, but like it could be great as a series in general. So that could be a possibility. But overall, I'm just waiting to see with how things are going to go. But I am pretty confident to say that this show is going to be as much of a hit as much as the movies and as the prequel series. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go and ask the chat wall, what do you all think about having a Ted animated series? Are you guys excited to go and check it out? Are you guys a little bit iffy in seeing a Ted series? And especially if you are a fan of Ted, rather it be just the first movie or the franchise in general, I would like to know what you all think. And not to mention, I might as well go and do a poll. And once again, I'm going to try to go and ask you all, will you be watching the animated Ted series? Excuse me. Then I'll write down yes, and then I'll just go and write down no. So let's see what you all have to say about this. All right. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit familiar with Ted. I haven't seen the movies, but I have seen some episodes of the Peacock series and some clips of the movies on TikTok. And I gotta say, the Ted franchise as a whole is really enjoyable and really funny. And with this animated series, I do see some potential as long as Peacock doesn't screw it up like the Megamind sequels. Oh, no. I'm gonna go and say this right now. I do not think that this is going to be a case of like the Doom Syndicate, because as I've mentioned, the people who were a part of the movies are going to be involved. We got Seth MacFarlane, who is attached to it, where he's going to be voicing Ted. He's going to be he's going to be one of the writers of the series, and he's an executive producer. He is going to be in charge to make sure that it's going to be much better than the Doom Syndicate. And especially with the addition of people like Mark Wahlberg and Amanda Seyfried, I think it's going to be fine. I think like for fans of the Ted movie or the Ted movies, I think they're going to get a kick out of it, and they'll probably, there's going to be a decent chance that they're going to enjoy it as much as the films. Let's see here. I'll admit that I haven't really seen any of Ted's movies or the series, and I'm not really a huge Seth MacFarlane fan, but honestly, I'm not expecting it to be the best, but I could definitely guarantee you it'll become successful for meme reasons and out of context purposes. So we'll see at least whatever memes it has, and it will be better than Chicken Jockey. Yeah, exactly, man. I think it is safe to say that with Ted running away, definitely much better than the freaking Chicken Jockey thing. Okay, let's see what other comments do we have here. Okay, this is an interesting idea to do with Ted, and I could see this working as an animated series. I believe this is Seth MacFarlane's first animated series he created outside of the Fox network. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the art style and animation style would be the same as Family Guy, but I would be surprised if the show did use a different style. It could stand out from Seth's previous projects and just be as funny as Family Guy and American Dad. You know, honestly, that does bring up a very good point. Like, that is another question that I would like to know. Are they going to use Seth MacFarlane's signature art style to create the characters? That I don't know, because like if you go and take a look at Ted himself, like it's gonna be hard to imagine like those same type of like Family Guy eyes, like, you know, like to make like the legit like round wide eyes with the black pupils, or the black dots as pupils and stuff. I don't know. I don't really see it. Like I think honestly, and this might be a hot take, I feel like it would probably work a little bit better if they go with a bit of a different style than what Seth MacFarlane would go and regularly do. At least something that would match the look of what we see here with Ted. I think honestly, like what we see with Ted, it's pretty basic, but I think that's going to serve as the template of how the rest of the characters are going to look. Or maybe because they want to emphasize that it is a Seth MacFarlane series and emphasize that it is from the same guy who made Family Guy and American Dad, maybe they will. But that's honestly something that I am curious to see what they are going to do with that. And by the way, I see in the poll that maybe not as much as you have actually voted, but it is interesting to see that most of you have actually said yes, you are down to go and check out the animated Ted series, in which 77% of you said that you will be watching it. All right, so already it seems to have a bit of an audience right now. And okay, I don't really see that many comments so far, so we might end up cutting this a little bit short. But as someone who watched a lot of Ted projects, movies, and series, I am excited and curious. At the same time, for the Ted animated series, who might act as a Ted 3 on Peacock? I bet there will be a cutaway gag like Family Guy. Maybe, but I guess we will see. All right, so I guess that said, since not many people seem to have much of a comment, we're going to go on to one more break. And when we do come back, I saved the biggest entertainment news for last. In fact, this is so big that I will be getting into Disney's next biggest project. And yes, this is bigger than anything that they have done before recently. So stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is time that we are going to go and cap this episode off with the grand finale. And for this grand finale, I am going to go and discuss about Disney's next biggest project. And I really do mean that this is going to be their next biggest project, bigger than anything that they have done in the past recent years. This is definitely going to be much bigger than a movie, and definitely much bigger than a whole IP, even big, I would even say bigger than Marvel. But then there's also the factor that it's also bigger than any ride that they would go and do, and even bigger than just an area in one of their parks. You know, this is way bigger than Fantasy Springs in Tokyo, or even bigger than what I've talked about last week, bigger than the updated Adventureland in Tokyo Disneyland, or anything new that they would go and add to any of their existing theme parks. Bigger than any of that. Because what they're about to do, well, actually, instead of me talking about it, I'm going to let Disney themselves announce what their next biggest project is.
There's really no secret about our approach. We keep moving forward.
For generations to come.
Yes, folks, that is the big announcement. It's the fact that we are getting a brand new theme park in Abu Dhabi. So to go and reiterate a little bit of what Bob Iger and some of the others have explained, Disney and Miral are going to be teaming up in order to create a brand new theme park resort, specifically in the Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. And so far, what they have revealed is just a few concept art of the theme park itself, of what they are going to do, and especially in terms of the castle itself, which they are pretty much presenting this more as this modern crystal palace instead of the traditional castles that we have seen across the different parks. So rather it be like Sleeping Beauty Castle or Cinderella Castle or anything like that. This one is going to be a lot more different with what they are going to do. At least this is what the artwork is presenting to us. Now, keep in mind that it has only been announced, and they have only mentioned, like, they are just in the area where they're going to build the place entirely. And it's also worth noting that when it comes to Disney and Miral, this collaboration is going to be very similar to what we have seen with Tokyo Disneyland, in which Disney is going to be the ones who will be developing the theme park and developing the rides and stuff like that. And as well as handing out the licenses in order to use those IPs for them to be present in the theme parks. But then at the same time, you got Miral, who's going to be the owners of the property, where they're going to be like the main bosses of Disneyland Abu Dhabi, and that they are going to be providing the finances in order to go and bring this theme park to life. In fact, allow me to go and read you a little bit more of the summary from my source here on Disney Park Blogs, in which it states over here, the Walt Disney Company and Miral, Abu Dhabi's leading creator of immersive destination and experiences, announced an agreement to create a landmark Disney theme park resort in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. The waterfront resort will be located on Yas Island, a world-class destination for entertainment and leisure, connecting travelers from the Middle East and Africa, India, Asia, Europe, and beyond. This seventh Disney theme park resort will combine Disney's iconic stories, characters, and attractions with Abu Dhabi's very vibrant culture, stunning shorelines, and breathtaking architecture. There's even a quote here that I would like to read you, specifically the one that shall be from Bob Iger himself, in which he stated, "This is a thrilling moment for our company as we announce plans to build an exciting Disney theme park resort in Abu Dhabi, whose culture is rich with an appreciation of the arts and creativity. As our seventh theme park destination, it will rise from this land in spectacular fashion, blending contemporary architecture with cutting-edge technology to offer guests deeply immersive entertainment experiences in unique and modern ways. Disneyland Abu Dhabi will be authentically Disney and distinctly Emirati, an oasis of extraordinary Disney entertainment at this crossroad of the world, and that will bring to life our timeless characters and stories in many new ways and will become a source of joy and inspiration for the people of this vast region and to enjoy for generations to come." So that's pretty much the main thing that we do know in terms of what's going to be going on with this specific theme park here is the fact that Disney and Miral are going to be collaborating, with Miral being in charge of like the finances and being in charge of the property in order to go and build their 7th theme park. Now, one thing that I do know from all this is that this is something that I feel like is a long time coming, because I do know that when it comes to the big name theme parks, they've always wanted to go and build something in the UAE. And that's especially the case with Disney and Universal. In fact, they actually have a history of trying to build a theme park specifically in Dubai, where they wanted to go and create either a Disneyland Dubai or a Universal Dubai, and the project never really went anywhere. Like, I know with Universal's case, the most that they've done is just build this giant arch that would be the entrance for Universal Dubai, but that ultimately went nowhere. And there were plans for Disney to go and create a whole like Aladdin themed Disneyland in Dubai. Not necessarily like have it be nothing but Aladdin, but I mean like the main theme of the theme park would be specifically with Aladdin. But that also never really went anywhere. So they tried, but, you know, it's an egg that they really want to try to go and crack, especially with Dubai being a very popular tourist destination. But it looks like now Disney is able to do so with Yas Island. And Yas Island is actually noted to be, again, a very popular tourist destination. You know, it's a little bit different than Dubai, where it's not necessarily all about like the big luxuries and like the giant record-breaking buildings. It's mainly a family-friendly tourist destination that actually does have its fair share of theme parks as well. Like, I know SeaWorld, there's a SeaWorld in there. There's also a Warner Brothers World where you have like a bunch of Warner Brothers IPs like the Looney Tunes and DC that's represented there, as well as a Ferrari theme park there. And all of which, by the way, it's worth noting that I believe those are also handled by Miral. So Miral is pretty much in charge of like all the big entertainment sections in Yas Island. So of course they would also go and handle what they're going to do now with Disney. And not to mention that Disney does have an appearance in Yas Island as well. Not a big one, but like they've already set their foot trying to like make an impact, or like, you know, trying to get people in Miral to go and experience some, not in Miral, sorry, in the Yas Island to go and experience some Disney. Like, I know there is a Disney store in the Yas Island, as well as this little theater box. And that's the most that Disney was able to do, is to go and present like a little Disney show, and that's it. But now it looks like they're able to go and like fully expand with Miral in order to go and create, to create this Abu Dhabi Disneyland right there. And honestly, I can imagine that in terms of the technology, in terms of what the Imagineers are going to go and build in there, I can imagine it's going to be something very spectacular. Like the thing is with the UAE, or like often like some people would just say Dubai, but I would say more UAE in general. They are known for being like so technology, like so advanced with their technology, and like really highlighting stuff that's going to happen in the future. Like, like I would even say places like Dubai in the UAE, they're like the closest thing to what Walt Disney wanted Epcot to be, like the city of tomorrow and stuff like that, to go and be like this great showcase of what kind of technology should we expect to be commonplace in the future. So honestly, like with the combination of like the UAE technology of what they can do in order to bring people into these immersive and interactive experiences, and with the combination of the power of Disney Imagineering, yeah, I think this is going to be like a revolutionary park. I think this is going to be something that would really stand out compared to like some of the other theme parks, like even compared to like what Disney has done with Fantasy Springs or with Shanghai Disneyland or with anything like that. Yeah, as some people are mentioning, it's a desert. Well, yeah, it's a desert, but the Yas Island is like near an oasis. Like there is some water there. I'm just saying. However, it is also worth noting that there has been some massive backlash in terms of this announcement. There have been plenty of people who are not happy with the fact that Disney is making a new theme park in Abu Dhabi. And this is not like just haters being haters. This isn't like part of the, this isn't like part of some trend to go and hate whatever new thing Disney does because modern Disney is the devil or anything like that. No. There is actually a justifiable reason why people are mad about this. And it's not necessarily on Disney's part. It's the factor that it is being done in Abu Dhabi, specifically in the UAE. Now, I know I've mentioned that yes, Disney really wants to go and build their park in the UAE. And it really does help that Disney is not really going to be spending that much money because the finances are going to be held, that they're going to be handled by a UAE company like Mira. But there are two massive problems with the UAE and even with Abu Dhabi. Number one, it's how they view the LGBTQ plus community. Because I think the nicest way to put it is that the UAE is a homophobic country. And I do mean very homophobic. Now, I know some people might say, well, technically, this is not the first time that Disney has collaborated with a country that is against the LGBTQ plus community, such as the case with China, like when they built Shanghai Disneyland. But this is a little bit different because, yes, it is true that in China, you're not allowed to be married or adopt children if you are gay. But do you know what you're allowed to do in China if you are gay? Be alive. You're allowed to breathe. You're allowed to drink water. You're allowed to walk around. You're allowed to exist if you are gay in China. They cannot arrest you just for the fact that you are gay. But then, in the UAE, on the other hand, oh boy, do they take their homophobia seriously. Then, not only could they legitimately arrest you if you are gay, like not only is that an immediate prison sentence, but they can legit execute you. Yes, they have a long and prosperous history, like even going to this day. Well, I don't know if I would say prosperous, but they have a long and very concerning history that even goes to like recent years that they have taken away the lives of the LGBTQ plus community or people in the community just for being gay in general. I'll even say that, imagine this scenario. Imagine you decide that you want to go to the UAE. You want to go to Abu Dhabi. And you decided that you're going to go with a friend of yours whom is the same gender as you, but you two are like purely platonic. Like you two are not interested in each other in any way possible. You're probably already in like some kind of straight relationship maybe. But then you decide that you're going to go onto Abu Dhabi just for a fun little trip. But then suddenly things get into an immediate halt because then the people of Abu Dhabi starts asking you questions. They're going to take you aside and they're going to go and interrogate you to see if you and your friend are gay, and you're going to go and commit the crime of being gay in the UAE. Like there have been some people who have stated that they have unironically experienced that. They are that serious and paranoid of the LGBTQ plus community. So going back into the main subject of Disney Abu Dhabi, this is just unfortunately another example of Disney flip-flopping with the topic. Is that there are some days where Disney wants to be very supportive of the LGBTQ plus community, and that they would be throwing out pride nights and making donations to LGBTQ plus groups. And then on the next day, they decide to go and make deals with powerful people that want nothing but to have LGBTQ plus people pretty much dead. Like, that's what they want. So yeah, honestly, it's just another very concerning factor about that. And it kind of makes it very controversial in terms of Disney's stance, where it's either they're very supportive or they don't give a crap about LGBTQ plus people. So yeah, that's one problematic aspect. But then there's also problem number 2. And even though the UAE absolutely hates LGBTQ plus people, do you know what the UAE actually loves? Slaves. Yes, there have been a recent recorded history of the UAE and neighboring countries in which they would go and enable slave workers, or specifically, like, I know like the term is like pretty harsh, but basically, like, the matter of the fact is that the way that they would go and treat migrant workers is extremely bad, to the point that they can pretty much be considered slaves. Like, there are some people who have stated that in terms of the payment that these migrant workers would go and get, is that apparently, like, because of the laws in countries like UAE and some parts in the Middle East, migrant workers would only get 15 to 30% of payment compared to what locals would do if they would have the same job. In fact, there's actually a very recent controversy. Maybe you might have remembered it, but it's in relations to what happened a few years ago with the FIFA World Cup. Maybe you might have recalled that back in 2022, when the FIFA World Cup was in Qatar, there was a lot of controversy in relation to how the stadium was built or how the stadium was being handled, since the grand majority of it was actually done by migrant workers under very poor working conditions. And even this article right here from NPR, it actually covers a lot of that in terms of the migrant workers, of how they have, of like what they have to go through, and that there have been some legitimate deaths because of the working conditions that migrant workers have to go and face. Like that's what I mean, how things are like so bad to the point that they might as well be considered slave labor. And this is like on top of like other factors that made the Qatar World Cup very controversial, including some abuse in terms of human rights. And then there's also some corruption and bribery that's been going on, or at least allegations in relation to the construction of this World Cup. And keep in mind, like, even though this is Qatar, it is a neighboring country to the UAE, and they have these very similar laws. So that's why when looking into what's going to be happening with Disney Abu Dhabi, especially with the fact that it is not Disney, but an Abu Dhabi company, which in this case is Miral, that they're going to be in charge of the finances and actually building the resort, I can imagine that there's going to be some nasty headlines that are going to come up in the future. Like, there's going to be some things that Disney will have to prepare their PR team for the worst in this case. Like, you can imagine the headlines of "New Disneyland is built by slaves." Like, that's not going to be pretty to go and actually experience. So basically, I can imagine that with this Disneyland Abu Dhabi, I can imagine the quality in itself is going to be phenomenal. It's going to be like no other theme park Disney has done before. It's going to be such an awe-inspiring place. But how it's going to be made and how it's going to be handled, all ethics are just thrown out the window, especially with the, well, for a lack of a better term, the evil way that they view the LGBTQ plus community, and the way that they handle migrant workers there's going to be a lot of a lot of questions that are going to be raised, and that the fact that the Disney name is also going to be attached to it, it might be a little bit more trouble than it's worth, and it could end up becoming more of a stain on Disney's family-friendly reputation, when the way that Abu Dhabi and that the UAE would go and treat others, it's anything but. Like, it is like practically draconian or even torturous. Now, keep in mind that this thing was just announced, okay? Like, we're still only in the announcement phase, and if they are going to be building it, it's going to take years upon years upon years to go and see this come to life. Like, if this does get made, then I'm not expecting this until somewhere in the first half of the 2030 decade, okay? So it's going to be quite a long time until we actually see Disneyland Abu Dhabi come to life. But if we are going to see Disneyland Abu Dhabi become real, then at that point, there's going to, I'm sure there's going to be some controversies that will come along the way. Like, I would even say that, honestly, it's going to be like the theme park equivalent of what we have recently seen with the Snow White remake. Maybe not the same kind of controversies, but we're just going to see like drama after drama after drama until this thing officially opens. And that is if it does open, because you never know if in the next few years we're going to see like some things that might actually change, and Disney might decide that they're not actually going to do Disneyland Abu Dhabi and just build it in another place. I don't know. But I guess we're going to go and wait and see with what happens. So, yeah, it's, I don't know, man. It's a complicated situation that Disney have found themselves in. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go on to the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about Disneyland Abu Dhabi? Are you guys excited for it? Are you more upset that Disney is doing it? Let me know what you all think of this. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Okay, here's the thing about Abu Dhabi's big project with Disney. I'm kind of excited that there's a new Disney park, and hopefully it will be an indoor theme park like the Warner Brothers park, since that place is hot as hell. I do wonder what attractions we'll have in that castle, and that castle looks glassy, that is ripping off Queen Elsa's work. But I'm really concerned about LGBTQ plus fans that do want to come over. Hopefully by then, the place will be welcoming to everyone. Keep in mind, it's Abu Dhabi's money. Disney is only making the park. I mean, I don't know, man. It would be nice to see if maybe one day Abu Dhabi will just change their mind and they'll become a more inclusive country where they will be more accepting to the LGBTQ plus community. But again, that's just one of the many problems that the UAE and similar Middle Eastern countries have. Like, it's not just that, but also the way they would treat migrants as well. That's another issue that needs to be addressed. Let's see now. Controversies like this is the reason why I'm rapidly losing respect of how gender and sexuality is interacted and respected. Heterosexuals and people conforming to what makes males and females are not immune to being dangerous to children and others, and they have the audacity to keep on saying non-heterosexuals and non-conforming folks are dangerous to children and others. How pathetic. Now, I do understand, that thing is a whole subject altogether to go and discuss, but yeah, I understand how it can be anger inducing. Let's see now. Honestly, as much as I'm all in on the idea of a new Disney park, and I can imagine it'll be technologically advanced, I think having it in Abu Dhabi is a mistake. Given the stuff I've heard about it, like its treatment of the LGBTQ plus community and how they view workers as slaves, this might end up being trouble. Although, on a more positive note, Universal has announced a new theme park in England set to open in 2031. Yeah, I have heard about it. Apparently, I think it was announced when I was in my trip to Japan. So that's also going to be interesting to see. Let's see what other comments. Despite the whole controversy of Abu Dhabi being homophobic and the big yikes of having slaves in the country, the project seems to look pretty cool and promising. Really like the concept art and cool stuff they provided. That's all I could say on the matter, but I got a funny thing to ask. Shall we send Nirmal from the Garfield franchise to Abu Dhabi to experience the park? Well, I mean, well, considering the Yas Island already has a bunch of stuff to do, I mean, who knows? Okay, and I think I'll read one more comment before we go and cap this off, just to make sure that I see one that I haven't read yet. Hopefully things will work better, or will work out for the best than in Qatar. Yeah, hopefully it will be. Let's see. Why? This whole thing seems disgusting. Why would Disney do this, even if it's Abu Dhabi's money? Well, that's the thing. It's Abu Dhabi's money. Disney doesn't have to pay to have literally a whole theme park to go and be created. And with that said, that should do it for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you all so much for joining me on this, and we will see for next time if we got more wacky and wild stories to go and tell. And I would also like to go and say that if you guys have enjoyed your time here on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to either the AniMat Live Twitch channel or the AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast YouTube channel. At the same time, if you are listening to this to whatever podcast service that you're on, then don't forget to go and follow me there. Hold on a sec. I just had that in my throat. But anyways, yes, follow me on whatever podcast service you're listening to, whether it be on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and many, many more. And with that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.